What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about the entire military history of the UK. So today, I want to check out this video by Battle Hub that says that it can teach me about the military history of the UK in only 8 minutes, which sounds great because, to be honest, here in the United States, they do not do a very good job of teaching us about other countries. You know, in school and growing up, we don't learn very much about the history of other countries, or we don't get a lot of exposure to the rest of the world in general, it feels like. So this seems very, very much overdue to finally learn more about this. So let's take a look.
Long before the Union Jack and awkward small talk, the British Isles were already a war zone. First, the Celts painted themselves blue and charged into battle screaming. Then the Romans came in, shrugged, and built walls, because clearly no one sane was going up north.
Whoa! Okay, I guess, we only have like 8 minutes to get through this. We're just jumping right into this. We got the UK, we got Celts, we got Romans building walls, okay?
After they left, the island turned into a rotating door of invaders: Angles, Saxons, Jutes, Vikings.
See, this is actually really interesting to me because there's a lot of names being said here that I have definitely heard of before. We probably went over this like one day in history class here in the United States. So I've heard of, Vikings and Saxons and Celts, and I've heard these names before. I just didn't know that this all had to do so much with the UK.
Basically early medieval Airbnb, but with swords. Then came 1066, the Battle of Hastings. A Norman duke named William crossed the Channel, saw England, and said, "You know what would look good here? Castles, loads of them." And just like that, Anglo-Saxon England got a French upgrade.
So he was French. It was all thanks to this guy?
Saw England. And
who is this guy?
Battle of Hastings. A Norman duke named William crossed the Channel.
William. He's French. He went into the UK and wanted to build castles. This must be a very, very big oversimplification, but for the purposes of me getting like a rough idea of, UK military history, this is probably good.
Of them. And just like that, Anglo-Saxon England got a French upgrade with chainmail, a new ruling class, and more aggressive taxes. From then on, British identity was forged in blood, feudalism, and deep-rooted disdain for the French.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Is this accurate? Is this what you guys learn in the UK? A history forged in blood and death and cool castles as well. Let's keep going.
Forward a couple of centuries, and England is now having regular scuffles with France, because nothing says healthy diplomacy like 116 years of war over who gets to wear the crown and insult the other's mother.
Okay, I didn't realize that England and France had such a long, war-torn history of fighting and a rivalry, by the sound of it, of who will rule the other. Or this is really interesting. They should teach us more about this.
During the 100 Years' War, the English rolled out their secret weapon, the longbow. Cheap, deadly, and operated by angry peasants who'd had enough of feudalism, these bows turned French knights into medieval pincushions.
Oh my god. This was high technology at the time. Did England invent the longbow?
Meanwhile, at home, England was busy self-sabotaging. The Wars of the Roses erupted. Two royal families, the Lancasters and the Yorks, playing an extended game of who wants to be king by stabbing each other repeatedly.
Like literally? Like, cause stabbing each other in the back is like a figure of speech. Is this literal? Literal stabbing? So there was fighting within the UK over who is going to rule, different families stabbing each other, killing each other. While at the same time, this like 100 Years' War, which I've also heard of before. I've heard of the 100 Years' War. I didn't know that was a British thing. So there's like multiple things going on at once here.
Eventually, Henry Tudor wins, marries a York, and unites the houses.
Oh, Henry Tudor. So that family won the family blood war, but he married someone from the other family. This is like Game of Thrones. This is probably what Game of Thrones is based on. It's just based on British history that actually happened by the sound of it.
And the British royals learn a valuable lesson. Marry your rivals before they kill you. Then came the age of exploration, and Britain realized, if we can't stop fighting people here, maybe we should fight people over there.
Okay.
Enter.
Is that how somebody just like stopped for a day and just like that and was like, we shouldn't fight here at home. We should go fight other people.
The Navy. Under Queen Elizabeth I, the Royal Navy transformed from a bunch of wet wood and hopes into a professional fighting force. In 1588, Spain sends the Armada, 130 ships strong, to invade England and return it to Catholicism.
So now we had France trying to take over England. Now we have Spain trying to take over England.
England responds with fire ships, superior seamanship, and gale force winds that clearly had a personal vendetta against the Spanish.
Because Spain is like not that close to the UK, geographically speaking. There's some distance there. France, okay, I get it. But Spain, how did you get into like a war with Spain?
From this moment on, Britannia doesn't just rule the waves, it dominates them. The Royal Navy becomes the muscle behind Britain's growing influence. It protects trade routes, enforces blockades, and delivers colonialism with extreme prejudice.
This makes sense to me, because I know like there was the British Empire and that Great Britain like took control of a lot of countries around the world at the heights of the British Empire. And it's like, how do you even do that with a navy, with a strong navy and strong ships? That's the only way to branch out like that. So that makes so much sense to me, to explain how Great Britain did all that.
If there was ocean, there was a British warship on it. If there was land, someone with a British accent probably claimed it in the name of the crown.
Oh my God.
Usually while mispronouncing the local names. The 18th and 19th centuries were the empire's golden age, and everyone else's nightmare.
18th and 19th century. Okay, this is great because some of this stuff I've heard bits and pieces about, but now we're actually assigning real dates and events to everything, which is this is great. This is so overdue. Height of the British Empire was 18th and 19th century. Not that long ago in the grand scheme of things. That's really not that long ago.
Britain fought a series of global wars against France, Spain, and the Dutch, racking up colonies like they were Pokemon. In the Seven Years' War, arguably the first true world war, Britain emerged victorious, snagging Canada and much of India in the process.
Okay.
And when Napoleon came around declaring liberté, égalité, artillery, Britain said no thanks, and spent the next 2 decades funding coalitions to stop him.
Yeah, of course I've heard of Napoleon. He is French. That's pretty much all I remember about him. but that was a big conflict between the UK and Napoleon, I see.
The 1805 Battle of Trafalgar proved British naval supremacy, with Admiral Nelson smashing the French and Spanish fleets.
How? I know we're trying to get through this like quickly, just so I can have a good understanding of everything in a broad sense, but for some of this stuff, it would be nice to get into more detail, actually. Because when they just say that the British smashed and destroyed the French and Spanish in this war, it's like, I can't help but wonder, like, how did you do that? How did you just defeat everybody and take over everybody like this?
Albeit fatally for himself. And in 1815, the Duke of Wellington, who famously described his own troops as the scum of the earth, led a coalition that finally defeated Napoleon at Waterloo. Britain was now the world's policeman, but instead of sirens, it had muskets, tea, and confusing rules about queuing.
What the I really like this video. This video by Battle Hub. It's got a nice mix of, for being like about the military and like the bloody history of the UK and battles and death and fighting, it's got a good bit of humor in this as well.
By the Victorian era, redcoats were marching from Canada to Calcutta, South Africa to Singapore. The sun famously never set on the British Empire.
Wow!
Mainly because it was always invading somewhere.
Was that an actual thing? Was that a thing that they said? The sun never sets on the British Empire? It's pretty insane, like, looking back and seeing what the British Empire was or what it did. It's really not something that we emphasize a lot here in the United States. We learn about it a little bit, but I have to admit, we definitely focus on American history here in the United States, and also we focus on our history of becoming independent of the British Empire. And so there's a lot of this amazing accomplishments that we kind of never hear about from the UK.
And while many remember the pomp and prestige, others remember it a bit more critically. You try explaining colonial taxation to the Americans without a tea party breaking out.
Speaking of, I was assuming that America was going to be part of this history recap. This is the one part that most Americans do know pretty well.
Then came the 20th century. Big mustaches, bigger egos, and one very, very bad idea. World War I kicked off in 1914 and quickly became a trench-slogging, gas-hurling, soul-crushing affair.
Okay, so now we're starting to approach, like, modern history.
The British Expeditionary Force was small but professional, and about to get chewed up in battles like Ypres, the Somme, and Passchendaele. At the Somme, Britain lost over 57,000 men on day one.
Oh my God. See, this is the kind of thing that the UK deserves more credit for here in the United States. Like, I have to be honest, when we learn about World War I, we learn about America's contributions and our role. We don't learn all these little details about 50,000 British people who sacrificed their lives.
Let that sink in. That's like wiping out an entire stadium crowd before lunch. Still, the war effort was massive. Soldiers from across the empire, from India, Australia, Canada, the Caribbean, and Africa, fought alongside British troops in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. This was global war, and it shattered the old world. When the war finally ended in 1918, Britain had won. But the empire was bruised, the economy was tanked, and the soldiers forever changed. Never again, they said. Spoiler.
Never. Oh my God. It is... I think it's so good to go back and learn about World War I and World War II, and I think that's incredibly important and something more Americans need to do, just to understand how good we have it now and how much people from around the world sacrificed for us to be free and happy and prosper now in the future.
Again came sooner than expected. Hitler rolls into Poland. France and Britain say, all right, that's enough of that. And World War II begins.
Yep.
At first, things go terribly. France falls in 6 weeks. Belgium folds. Norway's gone. Britain completely alone.
Oh my God. Yeah, I don't know a lot of detail about World War II. This is terrifying.
But then, Britain digs in. The Battle of Britain sees the RAF, outnumbered, under pressure, defend the skies against the Luftwaffe, thanks to radar, plucky pilots, and a lot of Winston Churchill's yelling, Hitler's invasion plan crumbles. Meanwhile, British commandos are invented, because someone thought,
God.
what if we dropped insane men behind enemy lines with knives and sabotage training? Turns out, highly effective.
What? What is this? What is this? Huh? This is some branch of the British military? With knives? With knives and bombs? What is this?
North Africa to Normandy, British forces fight across every theater. Montgomery defeats Rommel in the desert. The Royal Navy escorts convoys through U-boat-infested waters. And on
Wow.
D-Day, British troops storm Sword, Gold, and Juno beaches with Canadians, Americans, and a worrying amount of tea in their kit bags. By
Yeah, storming Normandy, D-Day. That is something that we do learn about in America.
1945, Hitler's dead, the war is won. And Britain, broke, battered, but standing tall.
Yeah.
After the war, Britain...
Yeah. I honestly think a lot of Americans truly don't understand the extent to how much the UK sacrificed and how important the UK was in World War II. Because there was quite a few details here that I didn't even know about.
Britain's empire collapses faster than a soggy scone. India goes independent. African nations follow.
Right.
And suddenly, British subject becomes just subject.
Oh, okay. This is interesting. So it was after World War II when a lot of countries started kind of moving away from being under direct control of the British, separating from the British Empire, like formally.
But Britain doesn't give up being relevant. During the Cold War, the UK becomes a founding member of NATO, keeps a powerful navy, and builds nuclear weapons. Because if you can't have an empire, at least have deterrence. Then came
Right.
1982. Argentina invades the Falklands.
What is this? The Falklands War. 1982. This is so recent. This is so recent and yet I don't know anything about the Falklands War.
Britain launches Operation Corporate, a naval task force including aircraft carriers, subs, and Gurkhas.
Oh my
8,000 miles later, in freezing weather and brutal terrain, British forces retake the islands.
I've heard of the Falklands. I've definitely heard of that. Where is that?
All for some sheep, sovereignty, and a message. Don't poke the post-imperial lion. Today, the
Okay.
UK military isn't the biggest, but it is among the most advanced.
That's what I understand. That's what I've heard, that in the modern day, the British Army, the British military is one of the best in the world, and it still has and you guys have an incredible navy and incredible branches and you guys have your own version. I think they're like the SAS or like your own version of super highly trained specialized soldiers that are like super badass.
The British Army wields modern kit, Challenger 3 tanks, Ajax reconnaissance vehicles, and enough bureaucratic delays to build a base in peacetime. The Royal Navy? Still top tier.
Right.
Queen Elizabeth and Prince of Wales are giant aircraft carriers floating around the Indo-Pacific like floating Brexit ads. And beneath the surface
My
live
God.
the Trident submarines, 4 Vanguard-class SSBNs, each carrying nukes that can ruin your week in under 30 minutes.
So the UK has nuclear bombs as well.
And then there's the SAS. Small, lethal, unreasonably calm. If you ever hear
This, SAS, yes, I've heard of this.
who dares wins, it's either them or someone trying to sell dodgy crypto. So, what is Britain's military legacy? It's a patchwork of glory and guilt, of conquest and courage.
Jeez. Okay, and there you have it. We got through it as quickly as I could. That was so interesting. And there's probably so much more about British military history that they had to like gloss over and kind of condense. But as for like a recap to give me, an American, like a good solid idea of like an outline of what happened to form like the UK and all of its all the wars and the conflicts and the conquering of the world and then losing it all and uh, ending up as one of the most powerful nations in the modern day. That's quite a story. And so I'm really glad that I finally kind of learned about it all. So anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on the military history of the UK, any of the things we covered here, anything that you want to add. That'd be awesome to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to the UK and learning about UK culture and seeing things from the UK I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching and see you next time.